following show is for entertainment purposes only and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Empire Media LLC, its subsidiaries, affiliates, sponsors, and advertisers.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Rope, episode 16 here on TMSNX Radio. I am Adam Hernandez. We're back again this week. I want to, again, we're going to have another abbreviated show tonight. There's a couple of things I do want to get to. Sorry, I wanted to do this on Periscope tonight, as well as the audio feed. I may go ahead and do a Periscope version of this later on. So you can check us out on our Twitter account or our Twitter page at TBRcast. But I couldn't get the connection out here going in the studio for Periscope tonight. So I might do that later, though. Stay tuned, and I'll be talking about the same topics that I'm going to be doing on this audio only podcast right now. But like I said, two things I want to get to tonight on the show. First and foremost, I heard something come across the lines from Dave Meltzer, I believe it was yesterday, and he was saying that the WWE is already set on a main event for next year's WrestleMania, which will take place in New Orleans at the Superdome. And that is that it's going to have the main event be Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar. Now, again, I have no problems with Brock Lesnar. He is a huge draw. I still think he's a huge draw, even though he's not on every week. I think that he's going to win the championship from Goldberg, namely because I believe Goldberg's contract expires just after WrestleMania this year. Lesnar with Heyman, I think that's a very good pairing for the WWE. I think it's good for ratings. I think the fans like it, and it's been working for them for a little while now. But the thing with Roman Reigns, and to me, this is really kind of mind-boggling that the WWE would already agree to do something like this, and that's have Roman Reigns be in the main event next year for WrestleMania. And I'd like to premise first that I don't have any problem really with Roman Reigns. I know a lot of people, a lot of fans of the WWE, a lot of fans of pro wrestling have a big problem with him. And you hear it all the time. I mean, you hear it on Raw every single time he comes out. It's mostly boos. I mean, it's not even like the John Cena thing where you get half cheers and half boos. It's totally different. I think you get a majority of people booing Roman Reigns than you get them cheering him. And I think that WWE has a real problem with Roman Reigns that they cannot identify yet. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's arrogance on WWE's part. I don't know if it's arrogance on Vince McMahon's part, that they want their guy. They want their guy to succeed. And this is extended all the way back when from WrestleMania a couple of years ago when it seemed like the WWE was doing everything they could to basically shove Roman Reigns down the fans' throats, and when they weren't having it. He was handpicked, it seemed like, by Vince McMahon and the WWE creative team to be the next champion and to be the face of the WWE. When that's not what fans wanted. I think fans had a big problem with Roman Reigns because of that. But there are other real problems with Roman Reigns. And it's two big things within professional wrestling that you have to really be good at one or the other if you're going to be successful. Now, you need a certain charisma about you. You need to work well on the mic. Now, John Cena and The Rock were never very, very good, I think, in the ring. They never were. I thought that there was a ton of guys better than them. Now, they weren't the worst, but they certainly weren't the best by any stretch of the imagination. However, what John Cena and The Rock had going for them was incredible charisma outside of wrestling and wrestling in the ring. Their mic skills were second to none. John Cena, one of the best in the business. The Rock, whenever he does come back, is still the best in the business. Obviously, there are some other guys, on the other token, on the other side of things, like AJ Styles. I thought AJ Styles, when he was in TNA and Impact and whatever it is you want to call it now, I didn't think his mic skills were that good. But he was a phenomenal in-ring performer. I thought he was. I still do. I still think AJ Styles is one of the best in-ring performers that have ever stepped foot inside of a wrestling ring. I think he's gotten better on the mic, but I digress a little bit here. And then there's some guys that are really, really good at both. I think Chris Jericho, for a long, long time now, ever since I've first started watching him compete, I thought Chris Jericho was very good in the ring, and I thought and obviously he's one of the best when it comes to his mic skills. That isn't the case for Roman Reigns. He isn't very good in the ring, I don't think, and he's not very good on the mic. And that's a problem when you try to push that as a if you're the WWE creative team or you're Vince McMahon. It just doesn't work, and fans aren't having it. And I think that this is going to be a big mistake on the WWE's part if they continue to push the envelope with a guy like Roman Reigns in next year's main event. I think this year's WrestleMania with Roman Reigns and everything they've done with that is a huge disaster as well. Think about this. The WWE wants to push Roman Reigns as its top babyface in the entire promotion. So what do they do next? They sit here and come up with some asinine thing with the Undertaker that has no basis to it whatsoever. They had a thing going with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. It was okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Braun Strowman. Actually, in fact, I like Roman Reigns more than I like Braun Strowman. Don't ask me why, I do. I just do. What they had going, though, it was okay. It wasn't bad. But then they just seemingly cut it off. And we might see a restart in that here in a couple weeks, because it seems like there may be a triple threat match between Roman Reigns, The Undertaker, and now Braun Strowman. But how did The Undertaker get involved in any of this? But a couple weeks ago, we saw Roman Reigns in the ring all of a sudden call out Braun Strowman, and then The Undertaker comes out. Why? Why did The Undertaker come out in that instance? I don't get it. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why the WWE would push that envelope. Okay, they need to give Roman Reigns an opponent at WrestleMania that isn't Braun Strowman because they already went up against each other. Is that the whole thinking here? And then they have to give The Undertaker something because Undertaker has to be in WrestleMania every single year. He has to have some part in WrestleMania every single year. Now, look, I love The Undertaker. The Undertaker has been one of my favorites for ever since I was a kid. The showmanship with The Undertaker is incredible. But how long is The Undertaker going to keep going with this? The same thing goes with the WWE. They need to have an Undertaker match at WrestleMania. And I'm not totally against that, but why does it have to be against Roman Reigns? And why does it have to be built up like that? Look, if they can't put the Undertaker in a storyline that will help build up, and I'm not saying he even has to wrestle. I'm just saying put him in a storyline, something. Hell, the Undertaker doesn't have to be there. The Undertaker has made a career out of those, those psychological, mind game things that the WWE writing team comes up with, where it's just him, backstage or some pre-recorded thing with the lights going out and so on and so forth. But no, they have to do this thing with the Undertaker and Roman Reigns and with absolutely no basis to it whatsoever. On top of that, if they're trying to push Braun Strowman as a babyface, they want to get people behind him. They want to get the fans behind him. That's not going to happen with the Undertaker, people. The Undertaker is one of the most popular WWE superstars in the promotion's history. And they're going to try to push the envelope with Roman Reigns as a top babyface in the league or in the promotion by putting him up against the Undertaker at WrestleMania. You know how many people are going to be behind Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? A couple. Seriously, a couple, probably. Look, the only way out of this for the WWE is to, one, reunite the Shield, or two, turn Roman Reigns heel. That's the only way that they... Look, he's already got the heat. If Roman Reigns became heel, if they turned him heel, I think he would have the most heat out of anybody in that promotion, out of anybody in the WWE right now. But they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're going to sacrifice. And look, they could make up merchandise sales. I guarantee you they can make up merchandise sales somewhere else. But is that what they're worried about? I just don't understand it. And to me, like I said, if the Dave Meltzer report is true that they're going to try to push that next year, then it's going to be a big, big mistake on the WWE's part. Anyways, something else that I wanted to touch on real quick tonight, because like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated show, and that has to do with just the incredible rejuvenation that former TNA/Impact Wrestling stars have had in the WWE. Now, I've gone on, I've ripped the WWE to start off the show. I'm going to finish off by giving them a little bit of praise tonight, because what they've been able to do with some of these recycled Impact/TNA wrestlers is really quite nice and really quite refreshing. And I'm going to go on to say this, that AJ Styles has flourished in the WWE. Flourished. And I think he's become a better performer because of the WWE. Like I said earlier, I didn't think AJ Styles' mic skills were all that great before, especially when he was in TNA/Impact. I'll call it Impact Wrestling now, because that's what it is. Now I think he's gotten a lot better in that regard. A lot better. Look at some of the other guys. Austin Aries. Again, Austin Aries is another one of those guys that's good on the mic and good in the ring. And now he's going to be on the verge, and he's going to win it at some point. He's going to be the cruiserweight champion at some point down the line here. It may be at WrestleMania against Neville. That may be where this comes from. Samoa Joe, former NXT champion. Now he's in a main angle right now with Triple H and Seth Rollins. And he's paired up with Triple H. He's linked to Triple H. That's huge. Triple H is the guy now. He is the next generation Vince McMahon. And then over in NXT, you have Bobby Roode as a champion. And what they've done with this character there, it's been great. I loved it. So the WWE can do some good things. And they're currently doing it right now with these former Impact wrestlers. Now, albeit you look at those guys, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Austin Aries, and Bobby Roode, all of them were top guys when they were in Impact. But we've seen top performers in Impact Wrestling make the move over to the WWE, and it not really work out. I believe Chris Harris was another one of those guys that it just didn't work out. James Storm tried his hand in NXT, and I don't know if that wasn't really necessarily the WWE's fault. I think James Storm just wanted to go back to Impact Wrestling. I'm not quite sure how that worked out, but it didn't last long within the WWE. Awesome Kong was another one. Didn't work out in the WWE. Now, there were some underlying problems with that, I understand, but again, it just didn't work out. We're going to see how the Hardys do. Because the Hardys at some point are going to come back to the WWE, and it's going to be interesting to see them being away for so long, how the WWE works them back into programming here. Same thing goes with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to see how, and that's not going to be a one-off thing. Kurt Angle is probably going to be the next GM of Raw. We saw them kind of write off Mick Foley in last week's episode, or this past episode, because he needs hip surgery. He'll be back at some point, but they needed a way to write him off TV, and that's what came of it. Which, by the way, I love the ending to Raw this past episode. I thought the whole Seth Rollins thing was great. I love to hate Triple H. I thought it was really nice to see that, and then Mick Foley with Sacco. I thought that was great. Good entertainment. But like I was saying, I thought the WWE's done a very, very good job with some of this talent that they've acquired, who used to be in Impact and TNA. Anyways, that's probably going to do it though this week for the Bottom Rope. I'm going to be back again next week, and I may go ahead and record a Periscope version of this, which you can tune into on our Twitter page at TBRcast. But this will also be up on our website as well. I'm sorry, there's no at in our website, themajors.net. So make sure you tune in there as well. You can hit me up on Twitter. I'm at TMSNX Adam. But anyways, like I said, that's going to do it this week for the Bottom Rope on TMSNX Radio. I'm Adam Hernandez. Have a good rest of the night, everybody.